everyone, I'm Tiffany Wong with news from here in Taiwan and around the world. The Coast Guard is asking for more funding for technology to better detect national security threats after a Chinese man reportedly sailed to Taiwan and back in a rubber boat. Reese Ayers has more.
Difficult but not impossible is how Taiwan's Coast Guard is describing a journey that a Chinese man appears to have made across the Taiwan Strait in a rubber dinghy. Posting on Chinese social media platform Douyin, the man claims to have traveled from the coast of Fuzhou in China's Fujian province to Guanyin Beach in Taoyuan on Taiwan's northwest coast on May 15th. A distance of 175 kilometers, he said he did in just 9 hours. And he appears to have gone back, as he wasn't apprehended here in Taiwan. In the videos he posted online, he boasts about the journey he made, showing a Chinese flag planted in the sand behind him. Another video shows a shrine in his boat with a note saying that he's doing this to reclaim Taiwan for China. The videos have been verified and do appear to show the time and place that he's claiming. But given how difficult the journey likely was, the Coast Guard is not ruling out the possibility that a larger ship dropped him off somewhere in the middle of the strait, out of the range of detection equipment, and he did the rest in his dinghy, managing to avoid detection due to the small size of his boat. Now, just a day after the man claims to have made this trip, 2 other Chinese people were arrested for making a similar crossing to a similar location, bringing the total number of such cases this year to 5, involving 38 people, of which 36 were apprehended. Now, they have different motivations for making these trips. Some claim they're doing it for China. Others claim they're escaping political prosecution in China. Now, a few individuals in tiny boats don't pose too much of a risk to Taiwan's national security, but it is prompting the Coast Guard to highlight China's grey zone warfare tactics. This could be an example of that, if indeed a larger boat did drop him off in the middle of the strait. The Coast Guard is calling for more funding, hoping to improve detection methods for smaller boats by using infrared technology and drones. Taiwan has over 1,800 kilometers of coastline. It's difficult to patrol, and defending the beaches around Taiwan could be key to fending off a Chinese attack. And with this week being the 1-year anniversary of President Lai Ching-te's inauguration, a man that Beijing has repeatedly described as a dangerous separatist, Taiwan's Coast Guard are on high alert for more such crossings. Patrick Chen, Kamashu and Reese Ayers for TaiwanPlus.
A senior Coast Guard officer has been detained for allegedly violating national security laws and leaking information. The Coast Guard said that the officer was detained on May 14th and removed from his post. The detention comes as several military veterans, as well as active service members, have been charged with spying for China in recent months. At least 3 people have been killed and 13 injured when a car collided with a crowd close to an elementary school in New Taipei. Authorities say 2 students were killed, along with a woman in her 40s. Another 8 children, including a kindergartner, were sent to the hospital. The 78-year-old driver was also injured, and the cause of the collision is still unknown. The presidential office says President Lai Ching-te will visit the injured. Taiwan is marking White Terror Memorial Day, remembering victims of decades of government oppression. But as Rick Glauert reports, there is debate over how Taiwan should remember its authoritarian past.
Marking one of the darkest chapters in Taiwan's history. 76 years to the date since martial law began, survivors of the political crackdown that followed are joined by government officials to commemorate the decades-long era known as the White Terror. Under the oppressive regime, thousands were killed and more than 100,000 imprisoned until martial rule was lifted 43 years later.
我们一再讲白色恐怖，我们不是要挑起仇恨，也不是要挑起对立。你们为什么不能面对，跟我们所有台湾人一起面对当年43年的戒严的白色恐怖，这么多人的死亡？你们为什么不能够跟我们一起面对，让这件事情成为我们彼此之间的一个和平的开始？
Since democratization in the 1980s, Taiwan has been trying to right the wrongs of its authoritarian past. The government has exonerated political prisoners, redistributed ill-gotten gains and given compensation. Sites like this detention centre, where those who opposed the nationalist government were detained, mistreated and sentenced in secret military courts, are now open to the public, serving as reminders to the brutality of authoritarian rule. And just 1 year ago, Taiwan's government established White Terror Memorial Day after a campaign by the victims and their families. But the future of this Memorial Day is uncertain. Taiwan's legislature, where opposition parties have the majority, left it off a new bill for important national days. And now, rights groups accuse the main opposition party, the Kuomintang or KMT, which is descended from that nationalist government, of blacking out history.
I think they are afraid that people will eventually realize that this party has never admitted to its past and its mistakes, and they did not even take the responsibilities of, to undo what they have done and to compensate or even to apologize as a whole party.
Taiwan's main political parties agree on very little, and this is just the latest in a string of issues to stoke partisan tensions. But it also reveals a split in society on how Taiwan should confront its violent past.
I think the Taiwanese society is kind of coming to terms with that. Okay, we have this past that at least a good number of people want to address, right? But then there's also a part of the population that kind of asks, well, I don't remember that period being that terrible. Or maybe it was terrible, but can we just move on and kind of forget about the whole thing?
Though places like this detention centre remain, Taiwan's era of politically motivated disappearances and executions can seem like a distant past for many here. The country is now known as a bastion of democracy and one of the most liberal places in Asia, which is exactly the point for those who support keeping a day dedicated to the victims of white terror. Today's freedom came at a steep price, and it should not be forgotten. Joseph Wu and Rick Lowett for TaiwanPlus.
U.S. chip giant Nvidia has just announced the location of its long-awaited new office in Taiwan. CEO Jensen Huang made the reveal at Computex Taipei, one of the world's largest tech shows, alongside major AI project announcements. As Chris Gorin reports, Nvidia is relying on Taiwanese producers as it aims to dominate the world's AI infrastructure.
An animated mock-up of Nvidia's new Taiwan office comes from outer space and touches down in the Shilin Beitou area of Taipei, revealing a future home of the world's most valuable chip designer. The moment came during CEO Jensen Huang's keynote speech, which opened this year's Computex Tech Show and ended months of speculation about where Nvidia would build its long-awaited Taiwan base. Huang also revealed the office's name.
The number of engineers we have here in Taiwan have been growing. And so we are growing beyond the limits of our current office. And so I'm going to build them a brand new NVIDIA Taiwan office, and it's called NVIDIA Constellation.
Huang also announced a partnership with the government here in Taiwan and local companies TSMC and Foxconn to build out the country's AI infrastructure. That includes building a supercomputer in the southern city of Kaohsiung, powered by 10,000 of NVIDIA's latest AI chips. And some analysts say the scale of these investments show just how central Taiwan has become to NVIDIA's global strategy.
Yeah, of course, that's really exciting because currently we see NVIDIA make a lot of investment worldwide, and apparently Taiwan is the most important one for him to build a new site, especially in Taipei. And also he highlighted the AI infra, a new partner with TSMC and Foxconn. It's actually demonstrate how aggressive NVIDIA want to invest in Taiwan. So that's a very good news for us.
The moves might come as no surprise for a company that relies heavily on Taiwanese firms to produce its chips and, importantly, its AI servers. A firm that used to specialize in computer gaming has turned its focus to AI infrastructure, which Huang says is now at the core of its mission.
We realized that NVIDIA is not a technology company only anymore. In fact, we are an essential infrastructure company.
Huang has been traveling the world, making large new deals on AI infrastructure, most recently with Saudi Arabia and the United Arab Emirates, partnering on what could be one of the world's biggest AI campuses there. Many of the products announced in Taipei were less focused on everyday consumers and more on customers at the enterprise or data center level, which Huang calls AI factories. But his keynote hints at where the biggest AI factory of all is likely to be. Taiwan may not be the only country where Nvidia is expanding, but with a new Taipei office and large infrastructure projects, it appears to be anchoring its AI ambitions to it. Klein Wong, Chris Ma, and Chris Gorin in Taipei for TaiwanPlus.
Ahead of the 78th World Health Assembly, Taiwan and its international allies are speaking up for its participation at the annual Health Forum.
But I just want to say, who is the World Health Organization? They are the WHO that doesn't allow Taiwan to become a member.
This marks the 9th year Taiwan has been excluded from the WHO, the decision-making body of the World Health Organization. Civic groups from Taiwan rallied for its participation, drawing supporters from more than 25 countries. Meanwhile, Taiwanese officials have been speaking in Geneva, reaffirming their commitment to global medical aid and their efforts to join the WHO.
台湾长期以来拥有的是很高品质的医疗品质，以及人民对世界其他国家人民的热爱。那世界的健康也是一体的。怎么样的一个变化，我们都非常的理，把我们的最好的医疗跟防疫的经验跟专业，持续的跟世界各国来分享。
The WHO begins on Monday and will run through May 27th. President Lai Ching-te is hoping the inauguration of Pope Leo XIV won't just be a new chapter for the Roman Catholic Church, but also a starting point for closer Taiwan-Vatican ties. As John Van Trieste reports, Taiwan's envoy at the Pope's inauguration has passed on Lai's hopes and an invitation.
Pope Leo XIV waves to the 250,000 Catholics, dignitaries, and other visitors gathered in St. Peter's Square for his inauguration. The crowd is gathered from all corners of the world. They include well-wishers from the U.S., excited to see the first ever pope from their country.
Very, very excited. He's the first American pope. Yes, we're very proud of that.
And closer to home, Italian Catholics.
I like his personality and hope he can continue on the path paved by Pope Francis.
Security is tight as dignitaries and heads of state gather for an inaugural mass. Representing Taiwan is former Vice President Chen Jianren, a leading member of Taiwan's small Catholic community. The Vatican is one of 12 states that have formal diplomatic ties with Taiwan, and the only one in Europe. So even at a time when Taiwan is shut out from many big global events due to Chinese objections, it's still able to have a presence at those connected to the papacy. At this papal inauguration, he's had a chance to rub shoulders with other dignitaries, like U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio. But Chen has also arrived with a message and an invitation for the new pope.
总统很关心台湾之间能不能够更上层楼，然后彼此之间呢有更多的互信，然后彼此的邦谊能够更加的促进。当然，我们也很盼望教宗有一天能够来拜访台湾。
Taiwan is home to just a few 100,000 of the world's more than 1 billion Catholics. But its president hopes the arrival of a new pope will help strengthen one of the country's oldest diplomatic alliances. Eason Chen and John Van Trieste for TaiwanPlus.
Thank you for watching What's Up Taiwan. You can visit the TaiwanPlus website or follow our social media for more stories from Taiwan and around the world. Finally, take a look at some highlights from the Cannes Film Festival. I'm Tiffany Wong. Take care and see you next time.